Good afternoon, guys. So, we start this class. And then last class, we talked about the functioning of the ecosystem, right? And I hope you were able to perform and read the study on that, because today we need to journey a bit again. We're going to journey a bit on basically abiotic factors. So trying to make you a recap of the last thing we did in the last class. We did the functioning of the ecosystem. We talked about the food chain. We talked about the food web, Then we talked about the ecological pyramid. I told you about the base. I told you about ecological pyramid. I said we got pyramid of numbers, then the pyramid of biomass, and then we got pyramid of energy. Okay, and in types of the food chain, I told you it's a linear feeder relationship. You don't forget that. And then I had to tell you that we got three members of the food chain. We got a producer, we got a consumer, and then we also have the decomposers. So I said all that. I made it to understand that the consumer are grouped into four. Primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary. Then we talked about herbivorous, carnivorous, and then we also talk about the omnivorous. So today now let's roll down. Let's roll down to the abiotic factors. So in terms of the abiotic factors, I need you to follow me. The abiotic factors. The abiotic factors of the ecosystem. We need to break it down. We're going to talk about the climatic factor. Okay? The climatic factor. All right? We're going to talk about the edaphic factor. And then we're going to talk about it we call it the physical factor. The physical factor. All right? The physical factor. Physical factor. Now, the climatic factor is going to be basically, what are these factors? These factors that affect our environment. Those factors that has to do with the weather, that has to do with the climate, Those are the factors we want to talk about. So, abiotic factor is popularly making us to know that, okay, this is climate, the climatic factor, edaphic factor, the physical factor. Climatic is basically on the weather and the climate. Then we talk about edaphic. Edaphic is basically on the soil. Okay? It's basically on the soil. While the physical factor is basically on the topography. The topography, okay, with the hills, okay, the mountains, then the slope. But now, according to you who's writing Jamb, you that you're writing Waec, please let your focus be on these two. Climatic factors and edaphic factors. Let your focus be here. Climatic factors, edaphic factors. That is where your focus should be, because most questions come out from these two parts, and you got nothing to escape from it. Most of the questions come out from this two parts, and you can't escape any question from it. Do you understand me? So I need you to follow me here a lot. Follow me here and get it right. Now, under the climatic factor, what are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about what are the climatic factors that affect the ecosystem. All right? The climatic factors that affect the ecosystem. Now, let me make you understand something. Follow me now. Please, I need you to follow me here carefully. We know that rainfall and temperature is the major climatic factor that affect every vegetation. Every vegetation, it is rainfall and rainfall and temperature. Rainfall and temperature are the two major climatic factors that affect every of the vegetation, or every of the environment, or you can say every of the habitats. Do you get me? the two types of habitat we have, I already told you. I said we got what? Terrestrial and what? Aquatic. What are the two climatic factors that will affect both terrestrial and what? Aquatic? Is going to be rainfall and temperature. Are we together now? Those two factors generally affect the two habitats. But if you are asked that, what is the major factor? Now they didn't put climatic. What is the major factor that affects all vegetation in this living entity in the ecosystem? The answer is man and his activities. Man and his what? Activities. When they say, again, so that you can get it right, I told you that when they ask you what is the major climatic factor, the major climatic factor that affect the vegetation or the habitat, then the two major, your answer is rainfall and temperature. But when they make you to ask this way, they said, what is the major what now factor? They didn't tell you it's climatic. The major factor that affect all the vegetations. All the vegetations now, they're saying all the vegetations. Your answer, it is man and his what? Activities. Man and his activities is what affect every what now? Vegetation, in every environment. The major one is man. Do we get? So let's fall back here. So now, in the climatic what now factor now, I've told you that we said rainfall and temperature are the main guys here. They are the main guys. But there are some which are specific to aquatic. There are some which are specific to what now? To terrestrial. But we made ourselves to understand that rainfall and temperature affect both of them. Rainfall, I'm going to write this because I don't want anybody to make mistakes on it. Rainfall and temperature are the two climatic factors that affect both all what? Vegetations. Okay? However, man and its activities affect every aspect. Man affect every aspect of all what? Vegetation. I have to write it because I don't want you guys to make errors on this. However, man and its activities. But look at this one. Now, we go. Now, I'm going to be putting, I've been checking your past. All right. You couldn't hear me well. Can you hear me well now? All right, hold on. You tell me if you can hear me well now. You said what? Okay. Oh. All right, hold on. Let's try it again now. There's a noise coming down from this place. All right, just hold on. Let's try it. Hold on. Okay, now listen. I said rainfall and temperature are the two climatic factors that affect all vegetation. However, man and its activities affect every aspect of all vegetation. I believe you can hear me now. Can you hear me better now? All right, let's move on. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, so to get this thing perfect, if you check your past questions, one of the questions they used to ask most of the time, immediately, they will start asking you, what instrument is used for this? What instrument is used for that? What instrument is used for this? What is used to measure this? You will know that here, under this climatic word, factors. Under this climatic factor is where you get the understanding. Okay? Now, I mentioned something about terrestrial habitat, and I mentioned something about aquatic habitat. But let me list the whole climatic factor we'll be talking about. Okay, so, and then I'm going to put your instrument there. Okay, please look at this side with me. Let's go to climatic factor, and then the instrument of measurement. I'm going to make the handwriting bold. So the first one, we have rainfall. I believe you know this one has to be with what? Rain gauge. Number 2, we have temperature. We say it is what? Thermometer. Number 3, we say we have what now? Wind speed. Wind speed, it is what? Anemometer. Anemometer. Number 4, we say we have wind direction. Wind direction, then we call it what? Wind vane. Wind vane. And then this, then we move on. We still have what they call this relative humidity. Humidity, we call it what? Hygrometer. Hygrometer. Then we have, I still go down here, we have relative density. We call it what? Hydrometer. Hydrometer. Are we there now? This area represents relative density. Now, continue, let's go. We got pressure. Pressure. Our answer is barometer. Barometer. Apart from pressure, we go again. We got we don't call it salinity. Some say P or pH. Okay? So we can either use pH meter or we use the word saladometer. Okay? Then, apart from that, we have the rate of transpiration. The rate of transpiration, we have potometer. Okay, then we have the level of gravity. Level of gravity, we got it clinostat. Please take note of this. All these have been asked. All this thing I'm giving you have been asked. We're going to write the question. We're going to see it ourselves. All this has been asked. Now, I said rainfall, rain gauge, temperature, thermometer, wind speed, anemometer, wind direction, wind vane, relative humidity, hygrometer, relative density, hydrometer, pressure, barometer, salinity or pH, pH meter or saladometer. Then we got rate of transpiration, potometer, level of gravity, clinostat, all right? And then we got this guy, which is the level of turbidity, we call it now the Dix. Turbidity. The Dix. Okay, now, anybody has a question here? Which one have you not seen before? Which one? Anybody? I believe you've come across almost this 12. All of these 12, you have come across all of them. Maybe except from this level of gravity or let's say the rate of transpiration. But these things are inside your questions and they've asked it vividly. Are we good now? So I need you to write this. I'm not going to clean it. I need you to jot this down. Yeah, pH meter or saladometer. Let me write it here. pH meter. Maybe I should just write this down one. Okay, that's the last one. Let me write it here. Salinity. Let me write it here. salinity or pH, that will be pH meter or saladometer. Okay, pH meter or saladometer. Then I said the rate of transpiration. The rate of transpiration. Rate of transpiration is going to be potometer. So I had to write it down here so that you can see it. So I'm just going to give you like 5 minutes so that you could just put this thing down. Be fast. Please be fast about it. Just put it down. Put it down. So that I don't tend to go clean it when I'm not supposed to clean it. Please put it down. Put it down. Be fast. Be fast, please. Just 5 minutes and then resume back again. Rainfall, rain gauge, thermometer is for temperature, wind speed, anemometer, wind direction, wind vane, relative humidity, hygrometer, relative density, hydrometer, pressure, barometer, salinity or pH, pH meter or saladometer, rate of transpiration, potometer, level of gravity, clinostat, turbidity, satidic, salinity or pH, pH meter or saladometer, and the rate of transpiration, potometer. I believe we're done. I believe we're done jotting this down. So let's move on. Let's move on. Let's be fast about it. Okay, so in that sense now that you know all these things, they use them to measure the what? The climatic what? The factors. Are we together now? They will use them to measure the climatic what factor. There was one of the diagrams I saw, like this one. They do it this way, you know. They do it this way. They do it this way, and then look at it. They did it somehow like this, and then they put, and then they put not, they put, and then something like this. If I can remember, they drew it in the past question, and then they put each down here. Now, what they were trying to make up out of it was they were trying to show you that this is the word. They told you should identify it. Please, this is no anemometer. This is wind vane. And they were asking that what is this thing showing? It's showing the direction of the what? Of the wind. Okay? This was what is inside your past question. We're going to say it. They asked it this way. And they were asking that, oh, what was this thing trying to what now? To show. Okay? And let me put a sketch of it here. You can sketch just like this, you know, and then and then you put yours there. So, and then you take a shot here, you know, and then you put it this way. It doesn't have to be big this way as I'm drawing it. And then you just take, they were now asking that what is this that one had to draw on the board. And what they were actually asking is the wind direction, okay? What they were actually asking is the wind direction. I think this was the way they drew it in the past question. When we look at the past question, we'll see it. And so, please, this is not, then I put east, I think they put something here, something else here, you know, and then something like this. So, please, when you see this diagram, this one is your what? Your wind vane. They were asking it, and they were like, what is it used for? Simple. It is used to measure the direction of the what? Of the wind. Please don't mistake wind vane and wind speed. Don't. And these are the things people tend to mistake more. Relative humidity and relative what now? Density. Now, if I'm to ask you which habitat will relative humidity be necessary? Relative humidity, will it be necessary for, I'm going to ask the question now. Relative humidity, will it be necessary for a terrestrial habitat, or is going to be necessary for aquatic habitat? Anybody? Terrestrial, right? Yeah, correct. JC, that's good. Good. Now, the salinity will be for which one? Salinity will be for which one? Salinity will be for which one? Will it be for terrestrial or aquatic? Which one? Aquatic. Makes sense. Makes sense. Great. Great. Good. Now you guys are getting the point. Now, you've already know the salinity is going to be for aquatic. Relative humidity is going to be for what? Terrestrial. Okay, let me get on Chris. Chris, why are you going to say, Chris, are you there? I believe Maxwell is there. I believe Miracle too is there with me. If I'm going to say, for which order, if I'm going to talk about this wind direction or relative density, which one is it going to be? Will it be for terrestrial or is it going to be for aquatic? I'm saying that the terrestrial habitat, we have two terrestrial habitats. We say we have terrestrial habitat and we have aquatic what? Habitat, right? We have terrestrial habitat and we have aquatic habitat. If somebody have already said relative humidity will affect the what? The terrestrial habitat. We know that relative humidity is for the amount of moisture, right? Moisture content, Abi? Right, good. Now, he got it. It affects terrestrial. Now I'm asking, relative density, will it be affecting terrestrial habitats or is it going to be affecting the aquatic habitat more? What will be the answer? I know Jason wants to say something already. Chris, what will be your answer? Jason, hold on. Chris, what will be the answer? Relative density, aquatic. Okay. Aquatic. Okay. Okay, you think aquatic. So Jason, what will be your answer? Will relative density affect aquatic or it will affect terrestrial? Aquatic. Okay, good. Trivia, very correct. Good, makes sense. So this guy, relative humidity, will be for terrestrial. Okay. Density will be for what? Aquatic. Salinity will be for what? Aquatic. But if you look at the rest, if you talk about wind speed, wind direction, the wind is for both sides. But which side is the wind more for? Is it going to be for the aquatic or is it going to be for the terrestrial? Even though we know it's for the both sides, where will it be more effective? Terrestrial. Maxwell, what did you say? Terrestrial. Okay. Two people go for terrestrial. Okay, good. I think you get the point already. I'm so glad. You get the point already. You understand which one affects more habitat than the other. Good. Now, leaving this aspect, because that is the part you must know. And then the final thing I must tell you is this, is the turbidity. The turbidity talks about the depth, the actual depth in a sea level. And the turbidity is more effective in the aquatic habitat. Turbidity is more effective in the aquatic habitat because as you go down the sea, now I believe you will have known, as you go down the sea, what happens to the amount of light that go down the sea level? Is it going to be high or is it going to be low? Low, correct. Because as you go down the sea, the amount of light that will penetrate into the sea will be what? Will be low. That means the rate of photosynthesis below the depth of the sea will be very, very what now? Low. Photosynthesis takes place at the surface level of a water what now? Body. Not all the levels. Please take note of that. The last depth of any sea level or water level, photosynthesis does not take place there. All right? Good. So we've been able to establish a lot of facts here on the climatic what now? Factor. We've established a lot of facts on the climatic factor. The next thing now we're going to do is to take good questions. I'm going to write questions on the board now, and then we move. I'm going to say how many you're going to answer just on these guys alone. Just on this climatic what? Factor. I'm about to write the questions. All right. Okay, first question goes this way. Look at what they asked. It said,